Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Robert L. Wilson Jr., and I have the privilege and honor to facilitate today's discussion around wellness creation. One of the things I want to submit to you on the front end of this conversation is that wellness is something that you create, not necessarily that's something that you achieve. Again, wellness is something that you create rather than something that you achieve. Why do we want to talk about wellness? It impacts not only how you live, but your very life itself. Wellness is about living your best life as the best version of yourself. So today I want to briefly talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness. Why is that important? Although wellness is holistic, I have found it easier to have conversations and explain wellness when we talk about it dimensionally. It also gives you an opportunity to break down the different aspects of wellness and how you can change them, improve them, or create whole new levels of and degrees of wellness that better serves the life you want to live, and being the best version of yourself. A couple things with that. Each dimension is interconnected and interrelated. So it's not one is more important than the other. They all funnel in and feed into your overall life and your overall wellness. I also want to dispel the myth, or maybe just the misconception, that wellness is only about the physical dimension. Although it includes the physical dimension, it is not limited to the physical dimension, meaning nutrition and exercise and fitness. Those things are important, but those are just one dimension of your overall wellness. And so we're going to dive in a little deeper into discussing the 8 dimensions of wellness, and hopefully as we have this conversation, it gives you an opportunity to think about what your wellness looks like. If you haven't thought about it, no worries. At least you can start thinking about it going forward, defining it, and in some situations, you might redefine what wellness looks, feels, or sounds like to you. And that's really my what I want you to get out of today's conversation is thinking about creating the life you want and the wellness you want, and I really want to empower you that the choice really is yours. So now that we've introduced the topic of wellness, it's really important that we define it. Now there's a lot of different definitions that we could use, but one of the best definitions that I've seen that really helps to put this into perspective is the definition provided by the National Wellness Institute. And it is: wellness is a process of becoming aware of making choices toward a more successful existence. Again, wellness is a process of becoming aware of making choices toward a more successful existence. The reason that this definition really helps: one, it helps you to realize wellness is not something you attain one time. It's a continuous process, but also it helps you to understand the process, that process includes choices that who makes? You make. Let me say it again: choices that you make. That becomes critical in creating the life you want, because a lot of people think life happens to them and life is not happening for them. What I want you to really gather from today's conversation is to tap into the power within yourself to create the life that you want. Again, to tap into the power within yourself to create the life you want. But that power is in your choice, and you make those choices. You choose the level and degree of wellness, success, or happiness, or joy, or peace within the life that you're living. And if your life does not resemble that, you have the ability to make choices to change that, or to create the wellness that you want. You have the ability to determine your outcomes and your results from this point going forward. So now I'm going to break down the 8 dimensions of wellness, um, that will help you to create the life and the wellness that you want. If you want additional information, uh, on the 8 dimensions, or how to use them, or how to create a wellness plan or strategies, or looking for techniques and methods to cultivate these areas, reach out to me. And or you can check out the link to my books and online courses in the description of the video. This will also help you with your wellness goals, and also to identify and improve, change, or create your level of wellness. Those 8 dimensions are spiritual, intellectual, emotional, financial, physical, social, occupational, and environmental. Again, spiritual, intellectual, emotional, financial, physical, social, occupational, and environmental. I'm now going to dive into each of these 8 dimensions and give you a synopsis to understand that particular concept. But again, if you want more information, more detailed information, or your interest is piqued in finding out more, you can get my information in the description of the video. So let's talk about spiritual wellness. This section can include religion, but is not limited to religion or religious practices only. I want to say that again. It can include religion, but is not limited to religion or religious practices only. This is more about you as a spiritual being. Again, this is more about you as a spiritual being and recognizing that you were created on purpose, uniquely for a specific reason, and tapping into finding that spiritual fulfillment, meaning in terms of your true identity and who you are and how you operate, and the ability that you have as a spiritual being to create your wellness, create your life. And so that's important that we share this important fact about spiritual wellness, that is something that you can cultivate and explore and operate from this place of being a spiritual being, if you will. And part of that being is, how do you create wellness spiritually? One of the things that I do in terms of, just kind of give you an example, for me, spiritual wellness is prayer and connection to um, my creator, and how me being connected to my creator helps me to create, because I'm created to create. Again, that's an example that I use in terms of my belief system, but just to give you an idea to help you to think about, what does spiritual wellness look like for you, and how do you cultivate this area. Uh, Again, if you want more details in terms of different techniques or practices or strategies, you can reach out to me for a more detailed, deeper dive and more description on how to do this, or apply this to your life. Intellectual wellness is all about using your marvelous mind to help you create the life and the wellness that you want. How are you doing that? By using your mental capacity, such as using your imagination to create what you want versus what you don't want. And the reason I want to pause there, because a lot of folks will imagine the life they don't want, or the things happening in a way that they wouldn't like it to happen. You can shift that. Again, that goes back to that definition of wellness. You have choices on how you think, what you think, the way you think, um, creating thoughts and beliefs that serve you, and the level and degree of life and wellness that you want and that you actually deserve. Again, the life that you want and the life that you deserve. This is basically you exploring the beauty of your mind and how it functions, and how to use it to work for you and not against you, to create the life and the wellness that you want. One of the ways that I cultivate my mind is, I'm an avid reader. Now, that's not the only way. I'm just giving you one area, a way that I do that. So for me, I, uh, I'm an avid reader, and expanding how I think, what I think, and then also one of the things I do is I listen to a lot of teaching and educational things that helps me to understand how my mind works so that I can work it for myself and use my mind to create what we call intellectual wellness. Next up, emotional wellness. It's all about your emotions, not just having positive ones, but also identifying those emotions that don't serve you or help you to make the changes to make shifts in your moods, your thoughts, and your energy. Emotional wellness is about your wellness, but it is also about your awareness of the way you feel. And so it's about your emotions, but also about your feeling because those are interconnected. A lot of times, if you don't feel good, people just kind of accept that. So, a great way to cultivate emotional wellness for me is journaling, writing down some of those thoughts or feelings that I might be having, and then even pausing for a minute to go, why am I feeling this way? Or this way is not necessarily serving me because I might feel stuck. So, how do I shift? Because typically, um, negative, what we call negative emotions, might uh, hinder your productivity or your ability to be productive. And so emotional wellness is really about you getting in touch, not just with your emotions per se, but also recognizing how to shift your emotions, how to notice your emotions, and wait for it. Also, how to cultivate healthy emotions, because sometimes folks may have a lot of negative emotions that are not serving them, or they might be what people have called being moody, and not recognizing those moods or how to shift them, and just kind of are more of what they call a knee-jerk reaction to circumstances and situations. But you have, again, going back to that definition, you can choose what emotional wellness looks like for you. And if there's areas, like say for instance, that you have been moody, that you can shift them as you become more aware of what those things are that impact you and why they impact you in that way. So this section is we're talking about emotional wellness. Now let's get into talking about financial wellness. But we're not just going to talk about money per se. We're going to talk about financial wellness from the perspective of being financially literate. We're going to talk about things like financial freedom and financial independence. So literacy, awareness, and education and knowledge about how finances work and how to operate financially. But freedom is having the resources. Yes, it includes money, but the resources and the ability to operate in a level of freedom because financial needs are not only met, but you can maneuver financially in such a way that it allows you to have freedom to do what you want and live the life you really want. And then also financial independence, that becomes where you're not necessarily, your life is not contingent on per se a job or uh, circumstances and situations where you have a set amount of money. You actually have the independence financially to kind of move and navigate life the way you really want to. And that creates a lot of wellness because what I do note here is a lot of financial struggles and challenges can cause negative impacts in some of those other dimensions. It can impact people physically when they don't have the financial freedom or the independence or the money or the resources. It can cause people challenges emotionally. That's one of the reasons why I said, although wellness is holistic, we're talking about it dimensionally, but this is also where I want to emphasize how all the dimensions of wellness, the eight dimensions, are interconnected and interrelated. That's why it's important that we understand all eight of them and how they work within our lives in creating the level of wellness that we want. And that becomes really important component in creating your wellness, but also recognizing areas of your wellness that you want to either improve or change or create a whole new um, outcome or result. Physical wellness is what people typically think about when we start having the wellness discussion. I said earlier, physical wellness is a dimension of the eight dimensions, so it's something that we definitely want to discuss, but it's not limited to only this dimension. But this is where we start incorporating things like exercise and nutrition and movement and physically being fit to be the best version of ourselves and identifying what does that look like for us. How does that look in terms of our overall health and well-being? How does it look in terms of our eating habits? How does it look in terms of do we live a life where we are active and moving around and really showing up as the best physical version of ourselves and the best version of ourselves overall? And so that becomes important. This is not an area we want to overlook, but we definitely don't want to just limit that when we talk about wellness to only what we do physically in terms of our eating habits, our nutrition, our exercise, our movement, um, and just being physically fit, but also determining what that looks like for you all, right? What is it? What does it feel like? I know for me, I like to work out, and so I like how I feel not only after I work out, but just by working out, being able to physically show up to places. Um, Things I work on is flexibility and strength and endurance and stamina. So working out for me allows me to work on those areas so that physically I am the best version of myself that incorporates the other dimensions as well, right? So it matters how if you're healthy physically, it helps you to be able in the financial wellness. It helps you show up in terms of uh, how you feel emotionally, right? It shows up, and we haven't got to that area yet, but how you show up at work, occupational wellness. So it funnels into all of those things. So it's definitely important and definitely something we want to be intentional on in terms of, and keep in mind what physical wellness looks like for you may not be the same as somebody else, but definitely think about what it looks like for you if you have it. Social wellness is all about your network and about you having healthy, happy, fulfilling social relationships, interactions, connections, who's in your inner circle, right? How do you get along with people? Having people that can support you, right? Having relationships that are healthy and fun and enjoyable. Having people in your life that you love, care about, that love and care about, and support you. Uh, these things are definitely part of our wellness, and they are really helpful in really connecting to our meaning, our purpose. Um, Life is definitely great when you can do it with people who can appreciate, celebrate, um, and connect with you. So this area is about you really creating relationships intentionally and on purpose with people um, that create a great sense of community and belonging and appreciation. So this is what social wellness is in terms of the eight dimensions. Now let's talk about occupational wellness. And what I want to pause for a minute, I also want to share this on the front end of this. Occupational wellness is not about just having a job. It is not about just going to work. It is about work that brings you skills and satisfaction and purpose and opportunities for expansion and empowerment and fulfillment, uh, opportunities for growth and is purposeful and enjoyable. So it's not about just going to work, coming home. It's not about down a 9 to 5. It's not about here I go again, going to work. It is about you working in a space and an environment conducive for you to grow and to enjoy the work that you do, the people that you work with. So this is a great opportunity to think about and maybe expand your view of occupational wellness. Doesn't mean just having a job, but definitely having purpose in a job that allows you to have enjoyment, fulfillment, and really funnels into your overall wellness, well-being, and fulfillment. Environmental wellness is all about your space. This could both be physical or mental, and a space that provides you safety and support and positive stimulation for growth and enjoyment. Uh, and for me, I think about it this way: environmental wellness is about me being able to have an environment where it's restful, it's relaxing, it's peaceful, it's pleasant. Um, it might just be something where you enjoy a space like where you have an open space where you can kind of sit and relax or think or unwind. This is what I'm talking about with environmental space. It could be a space where where your work area is an area that motivates you to work. Environmental is also, are you in a place where you can feel safe, feel supported? Um, that's where environmental wellness comes in. And so this hopefully this helps you with thinking about environmental wellness and also defining what it looks like. And if you're in a space physically or mentally that is not supportive, or you feel like you could be the best version of yourself, or supports or serves you, where your well-being uh, is at the level and degree that you want it to be, this might be something that you want to think about maybe shifting or defining and redefining what that could look like for you, that you do feel safety, support, and a place where it's conducive for your being the best version of yourself. So now that we've talked about the 8 dimensions of wellness, now let's talk about development. For those who've been watching my videos or being on my channel, you know that my 4 areas of focus is personal, professional, leadership, and organizational development. How the information that I share in some form or fashion can be incorporated into those 4 areas. So if you're doing this personally for you individually, one of the things that you can do is think about having SMART goals, um, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time specific or time oriented goals that you create in order to create the level and the life of wellness um, that you desire and want. So think about those 8 dimensions that we just went over, how they apply to you, and how you can develop specific goals around those areas. For those of you who are maybe doing this professionally, think about how those 8 dimensions funnel into your overall ability uh, to perform and impact how you do things professionally. It could be in work, but it just could be just in terms of how you show up and being the best version of yourself. For those of you who are in leadership, think about how you lead. How can you lead from a wellness perspective? How and the way you lead, the impact and interaction and influence you have on people are based on your overall wellness and well-being. Also, how do you cultivate that in the people that you lead, right? And to have better leadership practices. And for those of you in organizations, how do you as an organization create a work culture and environment more conducive to the well-being of the staff and employees to be the best version of themselves and have the performance and productivity to match that? So for those of you who are like, Robert, that's great. I want a deeper dive into strategies, techniques, and ways to develop either personally, professionally, or in leadership or organizationally. Reach out to me, and I can assist you in that process.